We're on in Carpool Aftermarket with myself, Mark Field, and Louise Baker of Womanic.
You can't see.
You can't see because it's too bright.
Blinded.
And also, we've spent 10 minutes fixing the car and the camera, but not bad for our first go. So we are cruising. So I'm going to start by copying another sort of podcast, because the person who was in here last, who was the proper guinea pig in terms of this respect, I said to her, you need to leave a question for the next person that's coming in, and that was my daughter, and she said she wanted to know what you listen to in the car when you're driving.
Oh my goodness. I listen to all sorts actually. I'm a massive Paloma Faith fan.
Right, okay.
So anything that packs a punch and that I can sing at the top of my lungs with.
Is all good?
Yeah.
Is all good?
Probably responsible for making it rain.
Any radio?
Bit of free radio maybe, bit of Capital.
Okay.
That's about it.
Do you remember the old BRMB in Birmingham?
Yeah. Which free radio now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I think it's come back as well.
Yeah, I listen to that.
So
yeah, they're good.
We are actually looking like we are in California, not Birmingham, with the amazing sunshine that we've got here. But yeah, it's all good. So tell me about your career in the motor trade. Tell me how you came to be in this wonderful industry of ours.
Oh, how long have you got? Okay, so I am self-taught.
Right, okay.
My dad taught me everything I know. I used to follow him around with a spanner set when he used to fix his pals' cars when I was like 4.
Okay.
So I used to go out. My dad's not my right hand man, he's not my best friend. So I follow him everywhere I go.
That's good.
Now, roles are reversed now. He follows me everywhere I go. But yeah, he got me onto the spanners. And then boyfriends, I used to help them out with their cars. Then I used to start car clubs and stuff. Built myself a name and a reputation. Then I worked for a massive auto store in town. Got headhunted to work for them. Worked for them for 5 years, got made redundant. Then I sold alloy wheels. And then I just did all sorts of weird stuff. And then I used to get engines and I used to buy them from Tironi's, the scrapyard in town.
Yeah, no, I used to go to school with them.
There you go.
Yep.
I used to work for Paul Tironi a little bit as well.
Oh, okay.
I used to buy engines, I used to get them delivered to my house, and I used to drag them into the entry at my parents' house, and rain, snow, sun, whatever, I used to sit there with a little, I won't swear, a little spanner set.
Yeah.
And break them down and sell the parts on eBay.
Okay.
And so I learned every nut and bolt from doing that.
It's often the best way.
Yeah, and then I earned money from it as well, because obviously I put them on eBay. And then yeah, that was it. And then I applied for a job at a well-known service and garage department in Wednesbury as a greeter. So I was the person that stood in the car park and booked everyone in.
Yeah.
And then within 6 months, I got promoted to supervisor. Then I was assistant manager. Then I was branch manager. Then we had a big fallout.
I can't imagine you fall out with anybody.
No. And then I left. I worked for Euro for a little bit.
Okay.
Which I really liked, but it was a bit too far away for me. And then I went to work for Tesco's as an out-of-hours manager.
Right.
I was there for 8 years, absolutely hated it. Fell pregnant, didn't want to do the long hours. It was just a nightmare. So I stepped down, started stacking shelves, hated that, wanted something better for my daughter, dreamt the name Womanic, had £500 savings, bought myself some business cards, a t-shirt, my first proper toolkit, and then off I went. And the rest is history. That's 8 years.
Wow, brilliant. And obviously within that time you've seen a lot of change. Yourself has changed, the industry's changed. What's the biggest thing? I mean, because this is something you've built upon your reputation.
Yeah.
And you've put your heart and soul into it. And I always think, when you look at, when we talked about things like the MOT and things like that, we don't ever seem to take into account, or we don't take into account enough, the small businesses, and how things such as MOT changes can affect these small businesses, and how these things that happen in the wider world affect all of us, as not just human beings, but as we're trying to make a living. What's been the sort of biggest change that you've seen over the years, even when you were with your dad earlier on? Is it the technology that's really been the sort of...
Yeah, I suppose you really have to upskill, and I mean, it depends on how. I suppose it depends on how far you want to go in business and in your career. I mean, I wanted originally to franchise or Manico, and I was in this big dream, you know, that this is what I wanted to do. But I think as you get older, I've got more content with what I do, and I'm happy, and I'm in a really good place. And it's took me a while to get like that. But I think if you want to move forward and you want longevity in your business stuff, you've literally got to roll with changes. So you've got to massively upskill. You know, your electric and your hybrid cars, your what's that fancy ADAS.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to get proper clued up, and training costs money.
It does. You can be, but also what you're saying is you can be at a size or a level where you're content rather than being a lot bigger and unhappy.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and I met a garage at a training event, and he was talking to me. He was a mobile mechanic. He's got bigger. He said, "But we're not any happier or more profitable." And I think that's a big thing for RWF to look at in how we can support garages with that area. I think technically there are fantastic suppliers doing so much work, but how can we help the business side of it? How can we help say to you guys, you're not alone, because there are other businesses going through exactly what you have to do every day.
Yeah, definitely. And I think financially as well, like, I think that I work to put food on the table for me and my daughter, and to keep a roof over our heads. So as long as I'm doing what I need to do to keep that, then I'm perfectly happy. But you do get other people that they want to make their business the biggest and the best business going, and they want to put loads of money into it, because that's what you have to do to make it, you know, to make it bigger and better. It's a funny one, because I've done two sides of the coin, where I wanted to really, really bust my ass. Like, if you imagine when I first started on making, I worked two jobs. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday night time, and then I worked for myself Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday daytime. So in effect, I worked like 8 days a week. Yeah. But I think from doing that, I don't want that anymore. I like doing what I do.
And you're content.
Yeah, and I'm happy with what I do. I tend not to take on any big jobs either. One, I suppose I don't feel confident enough to do it because I'm on my own.
Yeah.
But two, the amount of labour intensity that some of them take, and I've got one ramp in my small garage, I could get more services, general repairs and diagnostics in than I can from doing cam belts and engine swaps. It's just not profitable enough for me. That's not right. Do
you find garages are adopting that approach as well, in terms of some of the heavier stuff, but you know, some of the more labour intensive content that they're seeing, that they are post-COVID sort of being a bit more selective with not just the type of job but the type of customer as well?
But I also think that people would take on, if they go quiet, they tend to take on the jobs that really you don't want to be taking on. And then that's when you open a whole can of worms, because if you rush to do it, or you're not skilled enough to do it, you're going to mess it up. And by messing it up, that's when you're going to give yourself a bad reputation, and that's just like being greedy. That's all that's from, just trying to put food on the table.
I guess also in our trade, there's a lot of talk about EVs and the future and all of that, and you know, it's really important that we upskill really massively and invest. Not putting words in your mouth, do you think that there's almost an over reliance on electric going forward as the destination and not part of the journey? Because you and I have been at the same conferences where we've sat down with other garages, and you're talking about EVs, they're not seeing them. It's not happening yet for the independent aftermarket. It will do, and it's part of that journey. But if you were to look at perhaps the media, or looking at, I have with my marketing or media background, I always have an issue with how things are. You're told what to do. Because if I was to say to you, right, you're going to spend all your money, Louise, on really investing in EV, and you'd be like, Mark, I don't see that yet. I will probably, but not yet. I need to be better at other things such as ADAS, or I need to firm up my expertise in different areas. But it's a difficult one, and I think EVs have become an emotional argument more so than a rational argument, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've done my level 3 hybrid training, so I have done all that. But for me, I think, like you say, there's other options to do, like being an MOT tester. I think that's a great one, that is. And you could be like a freelance tester, things like that. I'd find something else to being electrician qualified and taking those sort of jobs, I'd find something to come in place of that for the minute, because that's not the top of my priority list.
Sorry, I think I'm about to take out this guy on a scooter. Is that
electric scooter?
That's an electric scooter?
Yeah.
Without a number plate?
Yeah.
So he's just riding it on the road as in... Okay, so it isn't, yeah. We can cut this out, don't worry.
Give him a push.
So yeah, we are actually driving around Birmingham, driving around aimlessly. I actually don't know where we're...
I know where we are.
You know where you are,
yeah.
That's always good. So so what's... the reason what's brought me to you today is obviously I'm presenting you the trophy. Much deserved trophy for outstanding garage contribution at following our IWF awards. How did you find our event in terms of networking with not necessarily other like-minded garages, but more so the supply chain? Because when we talk about skills, I'm saying to people, and yourself as well, and everybody in a garage, to say actually you can enjoy a varied career in the motor trade. It's not necessarily just garage, it's not necessarily just motor factor. There's all sorts of different roles you can enjoy. As I go past this guy, so yeah, how do you find engaging with further up the supply chain?
I find it really easy, but I suppose I find it easy because I'm at a point where I am who I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I tell you exactly how it is. So if someone didn't like me, then that's just the way it is. I wouldn't care. So I'll talk to everyone how I expect to be spoken to, but I get the impression that everyone is exactly the same. It doesn't matter how high you go either. Everyone talks to you like they know you and that they want to support what you do. I think the one thing I did love about the IAAF is the fact that you acknowledged what I do. I've been to how many awards? I've been to countless awards last year, and it gets really disheartening when you're going up against massive multi-million-pound companies, and you're just not getting recognised for anything. And I do feel like I bust my ass to get to where I am, and it's just nice to be recognised for it.
And that can be a kind of a categorisation of things from us at the federation as well, really. I mean, yes, we've got it right, but also in different areas we should look at. The market is very not fragmented, but there is lots of different categories that we can evolve. So we can look and say, actually, independent motor factors or single site motor factors versus multi-branch, so yeah. But no, thank you for the feedback on that. It was a good event, and I've only just recovered, to be fair,
it was awesome.
Which was good. Tell me about some of your TV work that you've done.
Oh my goodness, I've done loads.
Let's move that because people can see you then a bit better now.
True. Okay, so I first started. The BBC approached me years ago. Actually, it was like 2018, 17, 18, something like that. And one of the girls came out and she spent a whole day with me, just filming me working on cars and chatting and asking me questions. And then as soon as she put that on, about a month later, she put it on BBC iPlayer. And from that, I was literally inundated with all sorts of stuff. Like I was constantly at Channel 5 radio, BBC radio, I had press coming out, I had magazines coming out, and for literally about 6 months solid I was doing all sorts of different stuff. And then from that it just kept going there, and I did obviously more recently I've done Squid Game.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's not automotive related, but it's still pretty cool.
Sure it's not automotive related?
So I got approached. See, I don't put myself out there for any of the things that I do.
Yeah.
It's literally people will approach me and ask me if I want to do it.
Okay.
But I'm a massive opportunities. When I've hit my 40s, and any opportunity given to me, like in my 40s, I've just grabbed it. It didn't matter what it was.
Do you consider yourself an influencer or a content creator, or is there?
I would. I'd probably go the influence way, but influence to motivate and inspire.
Yeah.
Not influence as in, look what makeup I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But more influence people into the trade, get youngsters into the trade. It's just something.